Am I the asshole for taking back the beer I bought for a party from which I was uninvited? This happened just a few hours ago. I'm a 19-year-old man and the people calling me an asshole are 18-year-old men and women. On Thursday, a person I had a major crush on in high school, but who rejected me, messaged me out of the blue. She had never contacted me without my contacting her first, and at one point I realized she had had me blocked on social media, and so I found it odd that she was suddenly being friendly. After sending a couple of greetings/questions about how I've been, she said that she was going to have some people over and wanted to know if I would get the beer. The drinking age where we are is 19, and she and the people who were going to chill were all 18. The liquor stores in my area are all card. I thought it was silly that my being a month older meant I could buy liquor and they couldn't, and so I said I would love to go. She said thanks, I'll pick you up at 7. 7 o'clock rolled around, and she texted me to say she was in front of my house. I went out dressed and ready to chill with some people, and she drove me to the liquor store. When we got there, I asked what beer she wanted me to get, and she told me to get Budweiser. I hid my disappointment as well as I could, but it was her party, so I went in and bought 2 cases of 24. I got back in the car and said let's party, and she was eerily quiet. I noticed that she wasn't driving towards her neighborhood, but rather back towards mine. I thought she had moved or something, but didn't want to press the issue. When she turned down my street I finally figured it out. She was being purposefully vague about the invitation, because she wanted me to get the beer, but she wanted a way out when she told me I wasn't actually invited in the first place. She stopped in front of my house, leaned over, kissed me on the cheek, and said thanks. In her best voice. I deadpanned her and asked when she was going to tell me I wasn't invited. She feigned surprise and said that she never intended to invite me in the first place. I sat in silence for a long awkward minute, picked up the beer, and walked towards my front door. She got out of her car and frantically tried to re-invite me to the party, but I told her that what she did was the most humiliating thing that ever happened to me. I opened my front door, slammed it a bit too hard, and came back to my room. Now I'm sitting here drinking absolutely unpalatable piss water, and I have text messages from all of her friends and her asking me why I'm being such a dick. I don't think I'm the asshole for reacting the way I did, but if you haven't figured it out I'm not amazing socially, so I'm not sure. Am I here? NTA. Blatantly. How did she expect this to go? You'd happily go buy her beer, then take it to the party, then leave, without partying or drinking your beer? They have to all be a bit cracked in the head if they believe that was ever going to work. I'd take a Snapchat of me pouring that down a toilet before I ever gave it to them. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I hope you can move past what a nasty piece of work this girl, not woman, is. I originally commented asking for more information, but decided it really didn't matter. NTA. To be completely honest, it kinda sounds like you weren't actually invited. She just asked if you would get her beer for the night. That being said, it's definitely an R move for her to reach out to you after a long period of time, seemingly out of the blue, just to ask you to break the law for her, and to not even invite you to the party after. From my understanding, you bought the beer with your own money, so you're absolutely not in the wrong for taking it with you once you realized you weren't being invited to the party. You didn't yell at her, call her names, or do anything rude, just took your beer and left. I actually don't think you could have handled this better than you did. If there was a stronger judgment than NTA, I'd give it to you. The fact that you stood up for yourself and took the beer with you tells me that there are good things in your future. It sucks when people are assholes, but you have a base level of self-worth that will serve you well. This is not a criticism of people who don't have that. I didn't. Maybe still don't. But having enough of it at 19 to do what he did is awesome. And we can all work towards that. Obviously NTA, and good for you for standing up for yourself. There is a whole world out there full of people who aren't those people. WTF, this can't be real. I hope it's not real. I'm really sorry if it's real. NTA, and high five to you for taking the beer. Sorry it's Budweiser though. Maybe try to return the unopened case. Totally in the right, and it might be hard to believe, or even hear, but trust me, you're way better off teaching that person a lesson. Chug that shit beer in good health, but drink a bunch of water to keep from getting those wicked butt hangovers. NTA, and this is actually a victory story. She should be ashamed. Call up some friends and play a drinking game. Maybe call it a Mexi beach party and throw together tacos and make some geladas with that beer so it's more palatable, or any other beer cocktail. NTA, if that is how you do it correctly, the girl was quite obviously using you because of your age, and since you bought the beers they were your anyway. What boggles my mind is she had him pay for it himself. If she had just asked him to buy it, but she paid for it, she'd still be enough for letting him think he was invited, but she'd be less of an R. The audacity of expecting someone to buy beer for a party they cannot attend. Just imagine how entitled she must be. NTA Opus. Sounds like you dodged a bullet. She sounds like an entitled R. While she is the total R in this scenario and sounds like an unpleasant person, there's probably a real lesson for you here. I mean, you say a few times a week. How many weeks are we talking here? If it's more than a couple, that is adding up to dozens of messages to someone who clearly before right now hasn't really encouraged you. The thought of someone messaging me multiple times a week makes me feel really uncomfortable. Nothing excuses this girl from taking advantage of the fact that you clearly have a thing for her, to the point she felt uncomfortable enough to block you, to try and get alcohol out of you, and expecting you to drop everything for her, which, to be fair, you kinda did despite knowing she had previously blocked you. What was going through your mind here? But I'd take this moment to take a look at those messages and try and work out why your barrage of messages got you blocked. Did she respond to every message? Did she actively participate in the conversation, asking you questions and trying to move the dialogue forward? Did she give multi-sentence answers? Or did she give monosyllabic answers, or do nothing to try and progress the conversation? If she was answering to polite, it's very different to being engaged in the conversation, and the mere fact that she answered your messages doesn't mean she is interested in you. Do you know anything about her beyond her looks? You aren't part of her close friend group, clearly don't know her personality well, so what is it about her you can't get over? Hot girls can be really shitty, and you are both teenagers, which adds to the immaturity, but oblivious guys can also be really shitty. Learn from this shitty girl, but also reevaluate the way you approach women online. NTA. I think there would be a bunch of petty ways to exact revenge, but the biggest thing you can do is not react. They are all 18-year-olds who don't know how to be respectable human beings. So I wouldn't take pics and send them of you throwing the beer away. Take the high road and don't say anything. Don't return texts or calls, and if you see them or end up chatting with them, keep it short. As the night will go on, they will find someone else to get drinks. Then they will berate you because you ditched them. So don't respond to any of it, and your victory will be in denying them the satisfaction of getting a reaction out of you. Tough call. From what you wrote, it sounds like she just wanted you to buy beer for her, and it was a misunderstanding. However, it also sounds like once she knew you were expecting to go to party, she didn't correct you until the beer was brought. I guess she thought it would be socially awkward enough you would leave without the beer, but you held strong, so good on you. Plus it sounds like she unblocked you to fake a friendship so she could ask you for this favor. So I'm going to go NTA. Also, who actually paid for the beer? Note for the future: if someone asks you to break the law for them, they are not good people. If something bad happened, drunk driving for example, you might have been on the hook for it. If the cops showed up at the party, you would absolutely be arrested. You're NTA, but you did learn an important lesson. This is a great point. The police would have asked everyone for ID, and him being the only legal drinker there, he would have definitely received majority of the blame, if not all. NTA. And if those friends of her actually know about the details, then all of them are ours too, not only her. Maybe only pouring one for the photos, kind of like that idea, and give the others to your stepdad. She thought she is smart, but proved not to be, and was so much not smart, she, probably unintentionally, also proved what a entitled brat at best she is. Be happy to not have gotten into that weak of character. Fill in some strong words. Well, you showed her. Good for you. Don't back down. The only thing I'm thinking is either she totally used you or she never invited you in the first place and you were a tad naive. Mostly when I had to get beers for acquaintances, you know, I'd get them, they'd give me $10 bonus and that's it. But it's clear beforehand whether you are expected to join or not. Like if she asked you, we are having a party tonight, could you help us get some beers? She never really invited you, you know. Especially since she asked this out of the blue. On the other hand, I just think they could use you and get away with it, and therefore I applaud you. NTA. I also live, assume the same place you do where the drinking age is 19. I'm in my late 20s now, but when I was a kid, if we wanted to drink and weren't old enough, we'd either ask someone outright or pay them to go for us. Or ask an older sibling. What she did wasn't okay. She contacted you out of nowhere to pull a favor for her, with the impression you'd also get something out of it, going to the party. Even if she just asked you to buy beer and nothing else, it's still a shitty thing to ask someone you had blocked on social media. Also, what did she think was going to happen afterwards? You know, if she got pulled over from a cop, both you and her would be in shit. If she didn't have the grace to offer some courtesy, then she probably wouldn't have any when it came to throwing you under the bus for providing beer to minors. Drinking age minors here. NTA. What an arrogant and entitled little twit. Sounds like she thinks her looks can get her whatever she wants. She is in for a rude awakening when real life hits. She is also a freaking idiot safety wise. Imagine if she pulled this shit on a guy with anger issues and an entitlement complex that matched her own. I hope she grows up quick, because you gave her a safe version of this lesson. Others might not be so kind when they realize she is attempting to use and manipulate them. Either way, good on you, Opus. Never entertain bullshit like this. If her words, verbatim, were I'm having a party with some friends, will you buy us some beer? Then I don't think she did anything wrong. I do hope she was planning to pay you back, though, since you weren't attending. If she was a lot more vague and intentionally misled you, then you're NTA. I don't think you're an asshole in the first situation, but I also don't think you're right. You apparently misunderstood. It depends about her wording.